The City Council and Committee on Government Services, co-posted with a Committee of a Whole, will meet in person on Wednesday, January 31st, 2024 at 6 p.m. for the purpose of discussing a request from Eagle Scout Colin Bowker for his Eagle Scout project to move the existing memorial of Benjamin Pierce at the rotary of Church Street and St. Peter Street to the center island on Church Street alongside a new plaque dedicated to Major General Stephen Abbott. This meeting will be held in City Council Chambers, 93 Washington Street, Salem, Massachusetts, second floor. Please click on the link below for backup documentation. Password 463-301 or telephone 877-853-5257, toll free 888-475-4499, webinar ID 815-9165-930. In person shall be the primary method of access in such meetings. A secondary method for public access may be provided if technologically feasible through Salem Access Television and remotely through Zoom. See below for remote access and SAT fee information. Persons requiring auxiliary aids and services for effective communication as a sign language interpreter assistance may contact the city ADA coordinator as soon as possible, less than 2 business days for meeting the program event. And again, so our agenda, we have Mr. Bowker here for his project here. We have all members of the Government Services Committee, and from Committee of a Whole, we have Councilor Cohen, Councilor Stott, and Councilor Watson-Felt, and Councilor Morcillo. Also joining us as guests, we have our Veterans Agent, Kim Emerling. Thank you, Kim, for coming. And obviously, Colin. So with that, I will have Colin come on up. You can explain your project here. And just to let everyone know, what we're going to do is Colin's going to explain his project to us tonight. We're going to get any outstanding questions that councilors have. And at that point, we'll go around and everyone gets a turn to talk, and then we'll decide where this goes. So Colin, thank you very much.
Okay. Do I need to state my name? Okay. My name is Colin Bowker. I live at 41 Forster Street here in Salem. Thank you for all meeting again tonight. It's nice to see you all here. So this project, well, you heard it last week, but for anyone who wasn't here, this project is going to be moving a current memorial and bronze plaque to a new location and combining it with another bronze plaque to serve to honor 2 veterans who currently are undervalued in this town. They served their country, and specifically, they're both from Salem, and they deserve better respect than the current memorial, which is approximately only 28 inches off the ground, and it's very hard to see. It's not in a great spot. If you look on the map, you can see where it currently is and where we're planning to move it into a much more visible location. We are going to remove the original plaque, and we are going to clean it up, and then we are going to have a new plaque made and affix both of them to a granite slab, which is going to be on the rotary of Church Street and St. Peter Street in that island. So that's not an updated version, but I can pass this around.
So while those are going around, Colin, I did have a chance to talk to Kate Newell-Smith of the SRA, and all the councilors got to see that recommendation, and that recommendation did say that although, this being in the urban renewal zone may change, we don't know when that's going to be, 10 years, 20 years, but they were in favor of having the plaque here, and they had no problem with it. So we have that letter in the backup documentation, and Colin, could you speak a little bit about your conversation with someone at, I think it's Historic Salem, I believe?
Historic Salem?
Was it Historic Salem or Historic Inc.?
Yes. Okay, Historic Inc. Yeah, that was all over email a while ago. It was very brief. I just explained my project, what I explained to you guys here, and they gave the go-ahead. So.
Excellent, excellent. All right, well, let's, Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, Chair Varela, and thank you again to Colin for bringing this into the council. It's an impressive project, and the rendering is spectacular. I'd like to offer some observations of the area, as I live across the street at 28 Federal Street, and so I cross through that area every day heading over to Brown Street. And I'd also like to note that I've been there 12 years and haven't taken notice of it, which speaks to the importance of your project. And its current location, I'd like to point out, is 42 inches from moving vehicles going in and out of the Church Street parking lot. It's only 42 inches, and it's low to the ground. So for safety reasons, it's not a great place for people to stand and look at something. As opposed to the new proposed location is centered in a pedestrian walkway that's 12 feet wide and 25 feet in length, with the two raised grass areas that you can see in the renderings on either side as an extra buffer. And on one side of the walkway is a Salem directory, because it's a safe place to stand and for pedestrians to stop. And then this monument would go on the other side of the walkway in the raised area. So it would be higher. And also, I'd like to point out, I think, frankly, it would be more respectful than the current one, being that low to ground and such an awkward space. Thank you. I just wanted to offer those observations, and that I am in support of the project.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Watson-Phillip.
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, I was not able to be here for Mr. Bowker's presentation last week, but I did take a time to look at it and get caught up on it. And as the Ward 2 counselor and your counselor, my Ward 2 constituent, I want to also just echo my thanks for the work you've done. Eagle Scout projects are huge undertakings, and they are by design intended to put the onus on the Eagle Scout to make sure that all of the work is done correctly, all of the channels are moved through appropriately, all of the funds are found and raised, and I know it's a lot of work. This site, as Councilor Merkel just stated, is also by design intended for pedestrian passing. There is an opening in that island specifically so that pedestrians can safely cross from the parking lot over to the mall. So from a safety perspective, I have absolutely no concerns about this whatsoever. Not a single concern has been raised to me by other Ward 2 constituents or neighbors living in the area. Not a single concern has been raised by a department head or anyone from the planning department or other city board or commission, and no concern has been raised to me as the Ward 2 counselor from members of Historic Salem. So that tells me this is not a problem. Beyond that, I know you come to the table today with a lot of already support found, specifically a wonderful letter from Kim Emmerling, who's our veterans agent, who I deeply respect and trust. And I have absolutely no hesitation with wholeheartedly supporting this. And in fact, I'm sorry that you had to come back again. I hope that this delay did not, inadvertently cause any issues in your Eagle Scout process. The other thing I wanted to say is that this is the site of the beginning of the muster on an annual basis. This is where the religious service memorializing those that have passed for the annual muster begins every year. And it's a beautiful ceremony, and I have attended it. And, for those that go to the Common, that's like the Big Bang moment, right? But the day's festivities really begin with a really solemn and beautiful emotional ceremony, and then it's followed by the drums, the guns, additional readings of names. There's actually a 3-part day. And so to have this begin the day with this beautiful plaque in that perfect location, which is so historically significant, I think makes all the sense in the world, right? It's well founded, it's well researched, and it's, like I said before, it's safe. So thank you for all the work and the due diligence that you did before even coming into this chamber to ensure that that this is a no-brainer, yes, or I hope it is for the group. And I am respectfully requesting Government Services return this back with a positive recommendation as soon as possible. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you, Counselor. Anybody else like to speak on the matter? Counselor Harvey?
First, I'd just like to say thank you to Colin for all the effort you put into this. It's not very frequent nowadays see a young man like yourself doing these types of projects instead of playing video games or whatnot. So I have to commend you on that one. In total support of it. After the meeting last week, I actually went and walked over there and don't see why we're even here. I don't think it should have been put into committee, to be honest with you, but I commend you, and I think you're doing a great job in your presentation last week and again today was phenomenal. Thank you.
Councilor Presnewski.
Thank you, Chair Varela. Again, hats off to you, Colin, for what your accomplishments have been since you were 11 years old. Rise to the rank of Eagle is not something that is easy, especially for someone who starts schooling at the age of 11 with a goal in mind and works hard for 6-7 years to accomplish that goal and become one of the very few percentages of Scouts that attain that rank. This will follow you, a feather in your cap for the rest of your life. So I commend you for that. Also, thank you for coming to the City Council with this. I know that there isn't many venues that you can advertise what you're doing for the city, and I think council chambers is probably the best place where the public gets to see who you are and what you're doing for the city. So I'm sure that there are people out there that are also proud and applauding your efforts for what you're doing. I only have a couple of questions. I did contact Lieutenant Tucker from the police department only to ask for some data on this. He did tell me that in the last 5 years worth of data, there have been no motor vehicle accidents at that intersection. His concern was not so much that it would cause motor vehicle accidents, but there is ordinances governing where signage is being placed, and he wanted to make sure that that monument is more than 20 feet away from the corner so it doesn't obstruct motorists entering the intersection and being able to see oncoming traffic. So I know we spoke earlier, and it looks to me like it's a lot more than 20 feet away from the St. Peter Street intersection, so I can relay that. Councilor Merkel brought up a good point. When she measured the walkway, it's 12 feet by 24 feet, which equals 288 square feet, and I quickly looked up before this what the code is for standing room, how many people can fit legally and comfortably into that area, and according to Boston Fire Department, that's for 57 people can fit in the area off of the road, and that does not count people that are standing on the island, so I don't think that there's going to be a traffic hazard with this. So with that said, and being a former Eagle myself, I'm happy to be in favor of this. Good work. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Stott.
Thank you, Chair Varela, and thank you, Colin, for coming back tonight. I'll just quickly comment on a few comments made by my fellow councilors apologizing for you coming back tonight. I'd like to say thank you. I appreciate it, and hopefully this is more of a relaxed environment that we can have kind of a conversation. Our council meetings are very there are lots of rules that we need to follow, a little more rigid and time restricted, whereas in our committee meetings it can be a little more relaxed and have the conversation, so I appreciate that. I was having just a lot of questions in my head during the meeting, so that's why I was hoping for you to come tonight, so I appreciate that. I also, I don't know if you saw, but there were some emails sent. I'm assuming you weren't sitting in school reading your emails all day like I had to do today. But I sent a bunch of emails. It sounds like a few of my fellow counselors did as well, around questions, specifically just in relation to the location. There were some minor questions that I had that Kim was able to answer for me, like cost, who was, going to pay for the removal and the installation of the new monument. Sounds like you're doing fundraising for that, which is great. And the HSI wording. There were just a few other kind of minor things, the SRA summary, making sure that the city departments were involved. It's a great point that fellow Councilor Parsnewski brought up about the sign ordinance in regards to intersections. We all remember those meetings. So that was kind of where I was going, and I didn't have the answer for that at the council committee meeting. And I take my votes very seriously, whether it's a vote that's just, in front of us for this great project, like one such as your own that you've put so much work on, or a vote for something else. So I just wanted to make sure that I was able to research that properly. So the questions that I had along with the intersection was just the visibility, because I saw a few different renderings of what it looked like. And one of them that was up earlier looked really wide and high, and then I know the space is a little higher, so when cars are coming, if a pedestrian is behind that, I didn't know if it would be like, oh, then all of a sudden they're in the street, like walking behind a billboard. I just wanted to make sure that the visibility was there. So I forwarded your renderings and drawings over to Mr. Karczewski, the head of traffic and parking. Similar, he works closely with Lieutenant Tucker to get his feet on it, and he did like a line of sight from the street, and with the size and the size of the island, he felt pretty confident that it was perfectly fine for safety. I do just want to kind of narrow in on the 2 points. So yes, SRA said they were okay with this, but they did strongly, I'll use their notes from the memo, strongly encouraged you to explore alternative locations to place the memorial. I also think, this could probably have some other locations, so just maybe this is more a note for the veterans agent that we might have to look for another location in the next decade or so. Where could that possibly be? How can we work in accordance with the National Park Service and Armory Park, which I think might be belonged by the PEM, but there's definitely some other locations in that area. There's also a lot of information that I learned that I did not know before, like the relation to the National Guard, how he was buried across the street. So all of those kind of pieces were great to learn, and I think everybody should know about them. So we should get those words out. I did have some feedback on the wording, but I'm not going to really get into that because I guess the wording's different from what was sent over. But Kim heard my feedback there, just mostly to kind of talk in civilian terms, I'll say, as to why that plaque is there, and the location reference. My other comment was about the HSI plaque that we're moving. It says this plaque is, something like this plaque is here because of a tree that's being dedicated right behind it, but we're moving the plaque, but Kim said that there is a tree nearby, so we'll just kind of, all in our heads, rededicate that tree, that is now the 1976 tree that was originally dedicated. But that's, I guess, all I had. I appreciate you coming in tonight and allowing us this. A lot of it is mostly the additional time that we had to answer these questions. Thank you to Chair Varela for getting the meeting scheduled so quickly and making sure that everybody was able to be here and have these questions. And like I said earlier, if you haven't gotten your government badge yet, I think, you can definitely, these meetings and this additional work will help. And then finally, the film project that you created for the Raw Arts in Lynn, if that's posted somewhere, or if you're able to share that, that would be, I think, something great that I'd love to watch. I don't know if that's available for the yeah, that would be awesome. So I love it's hard to say, Raw Arts. I love that program, and I'm definitely interested to see that. So thank you again.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, Chair Varela, not being a member of the committee. Councilor Merkel and I just happened to be wandering around the parking lot one day, and I hope it's okay for me to tell this story. Again, Councilor Merkel pointed at the statue and said, "That's it." And then we realized it's the Yossi statue, which is different. And You know, I agree with what people have said about the location. I think it's terrific. And I can't wait to vote for this when it's in front of the council. But mostly, I just wanted to congratulate you. You've not only done your diligence and a lot of work and interacted with all sorts of people you probably didn't expect to, but I thought you were really poised at the meeting last week and really have handled yourself with a lot of dignity. So really want to thank you for all your good work.
Councilor Marcello.
Thank you, Chair. Not being a member of the committee, thank you for coming back. I appreciate the work that you put into this, and I appreciate these plans. As you know, my questions were about safety and the height of the monument. So I think dimensions would have been really helpful as far as, but I mean, in the original packet. But, so what I'm saying is, the picture was nice, but it was photoshopped, and so I couldn't tell how far back it was on the lawn, how far in on each side. And so, and the height being a 4-foot monument on top of an already elevated wall there, that, it's a concern, but, so the new diagram is good with all the dimensions, and so I get that, and I understand now the width of it. So, you know, my concerns are, I'm fine right now, but I appreciate the extra work and the extra research that was done into it and the questions that were asked. It's it's important in this body that we make sure that when we say that it's okay to go there, that it's not going to create any side effects, right? Side effects being problems for pedestrians, problems for cars, and so that's part of the job here. So I just want to say good job, and thank you for doing this, and thank you for pointing out this monument that I'm sure most people never knew was there. So good luck. Thank you.
Okay, any other counselors? We will go to public comment. Anyone in Zoom land or in the audience would like to speak, you can raise your hand on Zoom and we will recognize you. Give you guys a couple minutes. Going once, going twice. No public comment, all right. Okay, so I'll be looking for a motion. Councilor Brzezinski.
I make a motion that we report back to the council for a positive recommendation that this monument be approved and placed where it is planned to be put.
All right, so we have a motion for a positive recommendation for the matter of the plaque from Eagle Scout Project Colin Bowker. Can I get a second? Seconded by Kyle Davis, Councilor Davis, apologies. All right, so we'll do a hand vote. All those in favor? All right, I see 4 hands plus my own. The matter carries. Again, Colin, thank you for your diligence on this and coming in. And with that, I will take a motion. Councilor Merkel. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Merkel. All those in favor? Let the record show I see 4 hands plus my own. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.